Right. Good evening. Are you able to hear me? Yes, no? Okay, we can start with the session. If you guys have questions, you can ask. We'll keep it, we'll do it quickly because the weather is not great on our side. So let's not wait too long for the questions. If you have any, please ask them so that we can run it smoothly as much as possible. Okay? Any questions, anyone? Can you all hear me properly? Somebody should please confirm. No questions? Guys, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. My microphone was turned off till now. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I hope you've heard me before. If you haven't, I'm just going to repeat again. You can continue asking your questions. Sir may not join us today, or I think he'll be late even if he comes. So you can ask your questions if you have any, and also the weather on our side is not great, so we'll make sure that we take all your questions and be done with, right, instead of sitting for long with that. Please continue asking your questions. We've already started recording the meeting, so we won't sit idle for too long, right? So in case you have any question, please ask them. There are very few of you here anyway. Do you guys have any question for us? Have you got any other parallel sessions running at the same time?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. All right. Right. Anybody from English one? You people have any questions? Who's from English one? Okay. All right. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And
Ma'am, I
English
have
two?
a doubt from English too.
Yeah. Go ahead. You don't have to wait for your turn. I've asked already. You can ask your doubt.
Okay,
No
ma'am.
problem.
Ma'am, from Klaus. She has a quick temper but a good heart. Is a simple sentence. Simple sentence. It's true or false?
It is not a simple sentence.
Ma'am,
It
it's
is
a
not a simple
compound
sentence.
sentence, right?
Yes, yes, correct. Correct.
Ma'am, could you please explain it that how do we identify it as a compound sentence or a complex
So,
sentence?
if, right, right. If it's a compound sentence, you will have a coordinating conjunction, something like the one you see here, but, or and, or so, or either, or, right? All of these are what you call as coordinating conjunctions. So, first thing would be that there would be more than one sentence and at least two independent clauses, right? That's how you form a compound sentence. You need at least two independent clauses that are joined together with the help of coordinating conjunctions such as and or by, but or so or either or, right? There are few more. I'm just giving you examples of conjunctions that are coordinating in nature. So first thing is there would be one, at least two independent clauses, at least, which means, by which we mean there could be more also. But at the least, you need two independent clauses that are joined together with the help of these coordinating conjunctions. Okay, that's how you have a compound sentence. In the case of complex sentence, you need at least one independent clause and one dependent clause. Okay, at least one of each of the type of clause should be present to make something a complex sentence. Okay. And
Yes,
in a
ma'am.
complex sentence, usually the conjunctions that's used to join the two clauses, one dependent and independent. The one that is used to join them together would be a subordinating conjunction, right?
Sorry, last sentence.
Last part is that you need a subordinating conjunction. So in the case of compound sentence, what you require is a coordinating conjunction. In the case of complex sentences, coordinating conjunctions cannot be the one joining the two independent clauses. For complex sentences, you need
Sorry,
a
ma'am, but your voice is
subordinating conjunction.
breaking.
Really, you can't hear?
No, ma'am.
You're
Okay.
audible,
Yeah.
Lida. Maybe there is some issue with her connection. Could you please check Miss Sonali? Because
Yes,
Lida
ma'am.
is audible. We are able to hear her.
No, ma'am. Voice is breaking.
The breaking part is true, but it's not that difficult to comprehend the words.
Okay. Anyway, Sonali, I'll just repeat once again. If it's too much of a problem, then if it is for everyone, then I can leave the meeting and join back. If it's just for you, maybe you can try joining back again. Okay. Was this much clear? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I was saying that you need a subordinating conjunction instead of a coordinating one for complex sentences. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one more
Yeah.
question.
Hmm.
Both the gray cat with the ginger paw and the sandy dog with the black patches were running towards the green moss covered rocks
Hmm.
by the river.
Hmm.
Is a simple sentence true or false?
It is true. It's a simple sentence.
Ma'am, but it connected with end.
So what is connected with and? You look at what part of the sentence is connected with and. Do you have two different clauses that are connected with and?
Both the gray cats with the ginger paws and
Yes.
uh,
Is that a
and and the
okay?
sandy
Wait.
dog with the black patches.
Yes. So are these two parts both the um, the ginger pot cat and the other part of the sentence? Are they two different sentences? The two parts that are connected by and, are they two different sentences? No, right? They're connected with and, but they are two compound subjects. They're not compound sentences. Both of them are subjects of the same sentence. You don't have a compound sentence unless you have two different independent clauses, right? There's only one clause here. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, and as a conjunction, it can join sentences, it can join phrases also. In this sentence, this just joins two phrases, making them both compound subjects. But there is only one sentence, one clause. The whole sentence is one clause. You don't have an additional clause which is joined with the coordinating conjunction, which is why this is a simple sentence. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone? Sonali, is that all? Do you have more questions?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. Okay. Anybody from English 1, 2 questions?
I have question English too.
Yes, yes. You can ask.
So this assonance and
Hmm.
consonance in the
Yeah.
figure of speech is confusing little bit.
What is the confusion? Assonance and consonants are both figures of speech
So
which, yeah.
in example of lecture PPT, Jack
Hmm.
and Jill went up the hill.
Yeah, I think I've
So
detected it last time while I was going through the slides. That example may have some error. I think it must have highlighted one of the consonants as assonance, right?
Yes,
consonance is
ma'am. You
fine, Jill
highlighted this
and
Yes,
Jill,
point.
yes, yes. Yeah, I
but the
think last time we
G
did make that. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think we have made that change last time. It did not get reflect for some reason. We'll again let them know to do that. So in that one, I think there is the j sound and the l sound both are highlighted, but I think one of it is mentioned as assonance, right? In the example, if I'm not wrong.
yes.
Uh, so that is wrong. Both j and l would be examples of as in Jack and Jill, right? J and j in both the sounds. And then L in Jill and Hill, they are both examples of consonants. They're not assonants. Okay, that is what is
Okay,
confusing
okay.
you. That should be a mistake on our part, and sorry about that. We'll rectify it
Okay, okay,
again.
ma'am.
We've already submitted it for the correction, not made yet. Let's see what's the reason. But assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds. Okay, it has got
Yeah,
nothing to
ma'am.
do with consonants.
And sibilance. Sibilance, we can
Yeah.
directly say it start with S and sha sound and
Hmm.
sa
Sir,
sound.
sir sound, mostly sir sounds. Okay, mostly the sir sound. It is a subset of consonants, as in these are also consonant sounds, but a special kind of consonant sounds like sir, z. Okay.
So here, simple Simon. So C and
Hmm.
SI,
Hmm.
it is so I is there. So can we conclude it is assonance because I is a part of our.
Simple Simon, but only simple has the E sound. There is no repetitive vowel sound in Simon, right?
But simple SI and SI it starts with.
Hmm. Yeah. And where is that I in, sorry, where is that E sound in Simon?
Okay,
Simon
assonance means
spells as
only
I.
vowel sound or it's only a sound, ma'am.
No, no, no. Are you telling me that Simon has assonance because it spells SI?
Yes.
No, so that is the problem, right? You need to look at the sounds. We are not looking at the letters. So if it is assonance, then the E sound should be there in Simon as well. But we're saying Simon, it's I, not E, right? It's written as I using the letter I, but it's not pronounced E. It is pronounced I.
Yeah.
So it cannot be a case of assonance. All of these that we've discussed is based on the repetition of sounds. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So
And
don't fall for this spelling thing. Okay.
only in the
Yeah.
sound only matters. Okay.
Yes, definitely. It's only, see, I think if you had followed for your reference, you can look at the last session that we had on Saturday. We extensively discussed figures of speech. And I've only used the slides that were used for the lecture so that, you know, you're more familiarized with it. So all the four, that is alliteration, assonance, consonance, sibilance, they all thrive on the technique of repetition. Figurativeness is brought into it through the technique of repetition. The only difference between all of them is that what is being repeated. So in assonance, it's the vowel sound that's being repeated. In consonance, it's the consonant sound that's being repeated. And sibilance is a kind of consonance where the s sounds or the z sounds, the hissing sounds are repeated, right? So that is that.
Okay. Okay.
And there is no requirement of adjacency, as in, like you use the word simple Simon, right? So it is not necessary that the repeating sounds occurs in the beginning of every phrase, or sorry, every word, or that the repeating sounds appear in words that are next to each other, adjacent to each other, right? That requirement is not there in assonance, consonance, and sibilance. But in alliteration, you need to make sure that the repeating sound, whether consonant or vowel or whatever it is, it needs to be found in the words that are placed adjacent to each other. So examples like Betty baked some bacons, right? So, or Betty baked bacon. That's the example we use. So Betty baked bacons. Every word has the sound b, which appears first and is repeating, and they're found in each of the word there, right? Each of the words plays adjacent to each other. So
Yes.
this thing is for alliteration, repetition, but still it should be found in every adjacent word that's there in the phrase or in the sentence that you use. That property of adjacency is not required in assonance, consonance, or sibilance. Okay? Very, very small differences between each one of them, but all the four, nevertheless, they thrive on technique of repetition. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Just visit that session recording. I think you
Okay.
will
Okay.
gain something
Is it
out of that.
updated
And
in YouTube?
it should be updated by now. You can check. In case it's not, please write to us. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And this metonymy and
Hmm. Hmm.
synetoch. What is that? Actually, that's both
Synecdoche.
looking like same. Okay, okay.
They are same because
Synecdoche.
again both of them use same technique for figurativeness. So both depend on substitution, a method that you call as substitution. So in metonymy, there is direct substitution. And in case of synecdoche, you use a substitution and that particular word that you use to substitute could either represent the whole or it could represent the part, right? So examples would be for metonymy. Again, if I take the example from the slide, it says the Kiwis played well in the cricket match, right? So Kiwis is what? Did the Kiwis play? No. The Kiwis is the name that you use to refer to the New Zealand cricket team, right? So
Yes.
this is a direct substitution for the the New Zealand cricket team, right? So
Yeah.
this is called metonymy. Okay, there are a few more examples in the slide. I cannot recall all of them now.
Just in
But I
India,
think,
we speak many tongues. So tongues means we
yes,
can change the
yeah.
language. Yeah.
Languages, right? That's not changed to they stand in place of languages. Instead of saying many languages, you say many tongues. So this is metonymy, right? And in case of synecdoche, I think the example they have is that somebody fell fast asleep on the wheels, right? If I'm not wrong. That's one example. So this wheels here, this is a substitution for the car or the automobile, or whatever they were riding, whatever automobile part or whatever it was, bus or car or whatever the
Okay,
vehicle
okay.
was, the wheel stands for, it substitutes for the whole of the vehicle, right? So this is called a part to whole representation, part to whole substitution. There can also be a whole to part substitution also, wherein
So like, can we
you
have head count? Head count also, it's a substitute. It's
head
mentioned.
count, huh? Head count is again part to whole. Okay. So whole to part would be an example like, I think again, the police has arrived at the home to investigate the robbery. Now, here the police refers to a few people, not the whole department. Although we represent or we write it as, the police, it doesn't mean that you have had the whole department there, right? So this is a whole to part representation. This kind of substitution is referred to as synecdoche. Okay.
But both are looking similar, ma'am. So synecdoche and
Both is
this
looking similar.
monotone,
Yeah,
like
they are looking similar
confused.
because they both use substitution. But there is a
Yes,
difference in
yes.
the way you are using them. Huh.
So
There
we
are
are
other things
substituting
that
here
we do with
also, no? Whole
substitution.
to part and part to whole. And here also like
No, 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 no.
we are
No,
changing the entire
when you
part.
say the kiwis, you are not doing whole to part or part to whole, right? It is a direct substitution. You are calling the cricket team the kiwis, right? You're using another name to refer to the New Zealand cricket team. The other two examples, that's not the case.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why I use the word direct substitution. The other two cases, it's more like a representational whole to part to whole substitution. But in this case, it's directly substituted. Okay. Something like,
Okay.
now I remember the other examples also. I think it is the White House wished all
Yeah.
Indians on the eve of Diwali. So White House is directly substituting the president of the USA. Right. This doesn't happen in the case of synecdoche. Substitution is the basic process used, but then it's used in a different way, not like this,
Yes.
not direct substitution. Okay.
So head count is a part of a members.
Synecdoche.
So that
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Got it, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, anyone?
Yes, ma'am. I want to ask
Hmm.
one question which is related to the
Hmm.
topic of the matrix clause. Ma'am, what is matrix
Hmm.
clause?
Matrix clause and embedded clause, is that one you're asking? Yes, no? Sonali?
Ma'am, I don't know, but it is in the week 3.
Yeah, it is in week 3, but this is in reference to the embedded clause, right? This is that is what I was trying to understand. I think it
Ma'am,
should
one
be in the
topic
lecture on
is
embedded
given.
clause. Sorry?
One topic is what is an independent or a matrix clause?
Independent or a matrix clause.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
In lecture slide, ma'am.
Matrix clause is basically another name for independent clause or a main clause. Okay. So if you understand independent clause, this becomes more, important in the discussions on embedded clauses because you use the word matrix to say that something is embedded in it. Okay. So a matrix clause is basically, although it is also referred to as independent or what is that main clause? The idea here is that a matrix clause can have another clause inside it. Okay, another embedded clause inside it, which is why I asked you, did this thing come up in the lecture on embedded clause? Okay. So matrix clause is main clause or independent clause, which has a potential to have another clause inside it, which would be called an embedded clause. Okay.
Yes,
Like a
ma'am.
complex sentence, right? Very much like a complex sentence.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, one more thing.
Yeah.
Adjunct in a phrase. What is it?
Adjunct in a phrase is an optional element, right? And a non-required one. So if you have a sentence like, I met my friend in the evening, right? So the phrase in the evening is called an adjunct because it's an optional element. You can have a sentence, a good sentence. By good sentence, I mean a grammatical sentence, even without the presence of the adjunct. So I can say, I met my friend. This is a full sentence, it's a complete sentence. In the evening is optional. You can do away with it and it won't affect the grammaticality of the sentence, which is why they call adjuncts. Okay. And that's not the case with complements. Complements are required elements. So if I say, I met, this is the wrong sentence. This is an ungrammatical sentence. I have to say something. I met something or someone I did right. So if you don't have the phrase my friend, then the sentence becomes ungrammatical. So my friend is a complement and in the evening is optional. You can do away with it. So that's called an adjunct. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the examples, in a slide of the examples, most of the examples are noun. So, can we conclude at it as that a noun is generally noun come in a adjunct?
Most of the examples are nouns.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
couldn't be the
Yes,
case. Actually, most of the examples for adjuncts are adverbial in nature. Could you give me a few examples to check if it's noun?
yes, ma'am. The King of England. The King of
Mhm.
England with his ministers.
Yeah.
Third one, the King with his ministers of England. The student of
So
physics.
yes, correct. So the whole of that phrase is a noun phrase, I understand, but the adjuncts within that are not nouns. Okay, so the King of England is a noun, of course, noun phrase or noun as we call it. Of England within that is it's more adverbial in nature, right? So that is how you look at it. Okay, this is not full sentence. Any of the examples you gave me are not full sentences. We will keep our analysis restricted to sentences because that is when it will make more sense. Individual phrases can be little complicated to analyze. Okay. All
Okay,
right,
ma'am.
Sonali. Yeah,
Yes,
because see,
ma'am.
King of England again, yes, it's a noun, but then within that noun you have of England, which is a phrase and a compliment, right? So we don't have to get into the details of that. That's too much for an ELT class, right? That's more of a linguistics thing. So in a sentence, you just need to keep in mind that when you have a sentence, you need to check your verb, right? So if it has a complement, if it has an object, then that becomes its complement. And if there's something like the one I mentioned in the evening, right? That is, you can take it out and you can still have a meaningful sentence. So anything that's optional would be adjunct. Anything that is required to complete the sentence grammatically would be called a complement. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, anyone? English 2 people have most of the questions, looks like. English 1, anyone, any questions? Okay. In general, any other questions, anyone from English 2 or English 1?
It's a general question. I want to ask if there is a major difference between phrases and idioms, or are they just synonyms, or phrase is just idiom is just a part of phrase? What?
No. That major difference in the sense there are structural differences, right? So a phrase is a phrase, which means, it won't have a subject and a verb on its own. Idioms would mostly be in the sentential format. Okay, most of the times they're in sentential formats, and phrases would be just like phrases, right? Without a subject or a verb, right? But they are structurally different from each other, like I just mentioned. But the function is quite similar. Both of them have the function of talking about things in an indirect fashion or talking about things in a figurative way. Okay. And that is to bring emphasis or to bring impact or stress upon something, right? To provoke thought, so on and so forth. Okay. So they're not one and the same. They're one and the same in the function. They have similar functions, but structurally they look different, of course. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Yes, go on.
um, uh, very much and very. So it is also confusing. So can you just give me a brief?
Um, very is a degree adverb, right? And so you very, to put it straightforward, we know can be used along with both adjectives and other adverbs, right? That part you should understand. And very much, again, it has restrictions on its usage, right? Sometimes you can, there are certain kinds of adjectives along with which you cannot use the word very much.
Rahul is dash
I think both
talkative. It
adverbs
is
are,
very much or very.
sorry,
Rahul
sorry.
is dash talkative. Rahul is
Oh,
dash
you're asking whether it
talkative.
is very,
Ah,
got
yes,
it, got
yes.
it. You're asking very or very much.
Ah,
It should be usually very talkative. Very much talkative, I don't think so. Very talkative.
uh,
If you don't have any other options, it's between very and very much, right?
yeah. Very only. But
Okay.
it'll be confusing. Very much
Hmm.
also it goes well. Some some questions will goes with very and very much also. I guess, but surprisingly
Hmm.
answer very different.
No. So the thing is, some adjectives they cannot, they sound okay, but then certain adjectives cannot be very much complex with it. So it's
Yeah.
mostly very for adjectives, right? Very much is not something that we use too commonly also. Okay. Like you can say something like very much better. Okay. You don't say very better. In such cases, you will have to say very much better. I feel very much better. That is fine, but you don't say I feel very better,
Ah,
right? So the use of very in very much is mostly dependent on the kinds of adjectives and adverbs you're looking at, right? I think the lecture does specify it, the kinds and all, right? I can look at it, but it will take some time. If there's anybody with any other question, you can think about it, but I can maybe quickly run through to see. These kind of things, no, they're better explained using examples rather than talking too much in theory. So,
Yes, ma'am. I very much enjoyed, but not very
very
enjoyed
much
it.
enjoyed, yes, correct. Yeah. And I don't, if I remember it right, I think it has particularly something to do with the adjectives that end in ed, as in the ones which have the participle ed. I very much
Okay.
enjoyed. When it has
Yes.
ed, then the chances of using very
Very
much
much
is quite high.
high.
But the other kinds of adjectives that I just mentioned, like, better is a simple adjective, comparative form of a simple adjective. So that may not, that can only take the word very with it. The participle adjectives, like, the one with ed forms, right? Bored or enjoyed, or all of that, they can take very much with it. Which is why only very talkative. But again, talkative is a adjective, right? So you don't say very much talkative. One way to go about it is also this, to see, whether it's a participle adjective with ed or ing. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
And this part of
Yes,
speech
Farina.
paradox and antithesis also confusing, ma'am.
Which one? Sorry.
Paradox and antithesis.
Uh-huh. So all of them. See, I would like you to go back to this recording because you seem to have a lot of confusion in the figures of speech. We have
Mhm.
explained it in detail, but in antithesis and paradox, again, all of them are classified under the figures of speech, which uses the technique of contradiction, right? Putting things that are opposed to each other, that are contrasted to each other in order to create a heightened effect. So both antithesis and paradox belong to that category. In paradox, although you place two conflicting ideas, right, to each other, and in antithesis, it is more structural than the other way. I think the
So
example will
you
be
can
for
say in the
antithesis,
proverbs.
not proverbs, needn't be proverbs all the time, but it certainly has uh, two two characteristics that are in opposition to each other. So something like no pain, no gain, right? This is, I think, an example of
Yeah.
antithesis. And in antithesis, particularly, it is also about the parallel structures. So the second part, the opposite part, whatever it is, it would be parallel in grammatical structure to the first one. So no pain, no gain. To err is human, to forget divine. So you see that the grammatical structure is repeated. They're parallel to each other. The idea of the characteristic is in opposition to each other, right? But the structure is the same, parallel structures. So
Yes, yes.
this is antithesis, okay? And for paradox, you will have two opposing ideas that are placed to each other, adjacent to each other. All of the juxtaposition, antithesis, paradox, oxymoron, right? There's one more which I'm forgetting. Irony too. All of them fall within the category of contradiction. They all thrive on the process of contrast or contradiction to present the figurative language. There's little bit of difference between each one of them. You need to grasp that to understand. So, for example, in antithesis, it is the parallel structures. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
Oxymoron will have just two words, like the sweet, right? Instead of opposing ideas, you have two opposing words together to create that emphasis. the impact, right? And in case
Yeah.
of irony, you will have a whole situation. It's very situational in nature, as opposed to everything else that we discussed. The irony is going to be more situational in nature than anything else, right?
Irony
Example
is
of,
like
yeah.
so what to say? It is not possible, and it is.
Yeah, so there's some element of impossibility or some sort of contradictory
Yeah. Like
element is
moment.
present in that. Yeah. So I think if I can again remember some of the examples, I think it says, "My sister scared at the sight of blood. She's a nurse." Right. This was one example. So this is called irony. Someone being a nurse and being scared of blood are things that can't go together. But it's very
Yes.
much possible also. You see that when you look at it individually, you feel like this is an impossible situation, but it is very much possible also. So all animals are equal and some animals are more equal. Then this is an example of paradox. Right?
Yes, sir.
Huh. So
What does
these
it mean actually? I don't understand the meaning of sentence that all animals are equal. Some are.
it means that you cannot get rid of hierarchies, right? It probably is the case that everyone is equal, but it's rarely also the case that everyone can be at the equal position all the time. There will certainly be somebody who's much more significant or who would get more importance than you, no matter how much equality we speak of, right?
Yes, sir.
So it highlights the hierarchical nature of, power. That's how it is. Power inequality. That's what basically it refers to, right? Which is
Yes,
why
sir.
paradox and irony are figures of speech which are used very commonly in social commentary, social
Yes,
political
sir.
commentary. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just have a look at that video. You'll understand, I think, a little better than what you know now. If there are
Okay, ma'am.
still doubts that persistent doubts on this, then you can of course come back again and clear it
Sure,
up.
ma'am.
Okay? Sure. And as
So the
very
next
and very
class
much,
would
I
be
would request you to read or look at the lecture again. The one I could
okay.
figure in the given time was only that for simple adjectives, you will always have very. But the ED forms of adjectives usually will always take very much. Maybe not
Thank you,
always,
ma'am.
there could be exceptions there as well, but they generally take very much. Uh, but look through the lecture again, okay?
And the next class would be the Friday, no? And the learn the rope
Friday. Yes,
session.
yes. Yeah, yes, yes. Next class is going to be on Friday.
And it is a lecture kind of or a
No,
doubt
no, not
clearing
we.
session.
No, lecture is not required. We only solve questions unless it is required and we feel like there's some clarity needed to go about. I usually don't do any lecture because lectures you already have. You have video lectures. We don't have to do lecture everywhere.
Any
So
exercises?
this is mostly, exercises, mostly exercises.
So English one only, not English two, is it?
Sorry?
Exercises only for English one, is it?
No, no, both of them have different sessions. Both for
But
English 1
it's
and 2, we have
mentioned
different sessions.
English one only. It's mentioned coming Friday, ma'am.
Okay, they'll look at it. The team will look at it. If the other one isn't. So if you are from English 1, you'll only see that.
Okay, okay.
You're
But
from English 2, right?
English two, yes. But I can see only English one learn
English
the rope.
1.
English two is yeah.
Okay. I should please take a note of this. See if there's a mismatch, we'll get it rectified.
Okay, it's happening. English two exercises also, is it?
Have you subscribed for English to calendar?
Uh, okay, ma'am. Let me check with this, ma'am, because
Because this combined live session is updated in English 1 calendar and English 2. If you have subscribed only for English 1, in that case, you will not be able to see. But English, if kindly check if you have subscribed for English
He's
1
asking
English 2
about
calendar.
the session on Saturday, sorry, Friday.
Friday. That is
yeah, ma'am.
updated. Let me check.
Okay. Meanwhile, Sonali, I saw your hands
Yes,
raised. Do you have a
ma'am.
question? Yeah.
Yes. Not question, ma'am, related to the class link. Where we didn't get, ma'am, we didn't receive the link of today's class also.
Today's
I
class.
joined, yes, ma'am, I joined with the previous link.
Okay.
No, it's there in the
Aishwarya will check
calendar.
now.
No? That you are saying you didn't get a notification. Is that what you're trying to say?
Ma'am, you are
Sonali.
talking to me.
Yes,
Yes,
Sonali,
yes.
I don't understand. Are you saying that you didn't get a notification?
No, ma'am, on WhatsApp.
Okay, okay. On WhatsApp. Okay, I'll let them know. Sure.
Or, ma'am, in academic calendar also not available there.
In academic calendar, I'm able to view today's session. Okay, let me check. Have you subscribed for English 1 calendar? I mean,
I
English 2,
subscribed
she's
for the
on English
English
2.
too.
Hmm.
okay, English 2. Okay, fine. I'll drop a word to them. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. If you have no further questions, we'll close for today. Right. Next week we can meet again, and please check all your calendars and see if links and everything is populated and visible. Please check on that, and in case it's not available, please write in detail what your issues are. Right. You can write to the forum. We'll address.
Ma'am, English 2 only learn the rope is there on coming Friday, and that's it. That's the last class before quiz 1.
Yeah, that's all. What else? Usually there's only one of that, no?
Then
No, it
Wednesday is
was
1
also
and 2.
English 1.
No.
Yeah, this combined live session. He had updated it last week. Let me check. I'll check with the concerned
Okay.
team and I'll let them know.
You're saying that this session was not updated.
Yeah, this
Is that
session
so?
is not being visible in English 2 calendar is what they're trying to say, Lida.
Okay.
Same issue,
Hmm.
and I was able to view the English 2 calendar and I was able to see the session, but now I don't know why it's removed. I'll
It's removed.
inform.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could be a mistake. They
Last week it
keep
was
working on
there
it. Sometimes they might have removed it by mistake.
by mistake. Yeah, I'll inform him on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? So this one we'll
No, ma'am.
fix. Whatever it is, we will look into it and make the changes. But no other questions as such, right? From the content.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. If that's the
Thank
case,
you.
then we'll close for today. Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks for the class, ma'am.
Sure. No problem. Pleasure. See you all again next week. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.